Greetings and welcome to the World Numismatic News' Lincoln Pennies Date by Date. In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at the 1911 Lincoln cent, which is the third official year of production for the series by the US Mint. And as such, things have begun to settle in for the series as well. While mintage figures were on the high end, they were not as high as the 1910 issue, which actually saw a record production figure for the denomination at over 150 million coins struck. By comparison, 1911 saw a total mintage of just below 118 million coins in total. What is noteworthy about this is the fact that the number is split between 3 working mints, instead of just the 2 like in the previous years, as this is the first year that the Denver Mint started striking pennies for circulation, in effect inaugurating the PDS system where coins for circulation would be minted at 3 working mints nearly every year, those being Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. This system would remain the norm for the US Mint for decades to follow. Now, as far as it pertains to the main Philadelphia Mint, 101,176,054 Lincoln pennies were struck for circulation. That number excludes a number of matte proof coins which were also struck at the same facility, which we'll get to in just a moment. Strike quality for this issue is overall still quite high, although not nearly as consistently so as with the previous year. But finding a coin with a good quality strike poses no real challenge. Coloring for the issue is far more interesting as it appears far more prone to toning as well as developing carbon spots than before. One can only assume that this is a particular peculiarity to the annealing process for the planchettes with this particular issue for some reason. Although the wood grain effect can be found in coins of this issue, most clean, untoned higher grade specimens you will see a nice sunset orange coloration. Coins that are too red or brilliant may have been chemically treated or dipped, and it might be a good idea to steer clear of those. As you may already have surmised by the sheer mintage figure of well over 100 million coins struck, the 1911 penny is a fairly common coin, with low-grade examples typically selling for well below $5 each. The coin is obtainable in most grades though, including mint state. A very nice red-brown coin can be had for between $50 and $100, with red examples of up to MS64 for about double that amount. Now, once you start talking about gem red graded coins, it becomes a very different story, as they are conditionally rare within the series. By example, in 2019, an MS67 red graded 1911 penny from PCGS was sold at auction for $6,000. As already mentioned, 1911 was the first year that the Denver Mint would produce the 1 cent coin, with the first coins delivered into circulation in May of that same year. Interestingly, the penny and nickel were somewhat shunned by the more western states up until that time, due to being fiduciary coins and as such not retaining the intrinsic gold or silver value. This attitude was being slowly eroded due to the changing economic climate and the denomination now being minted at both San Francisco and Denver for circulation. In total, 12,672,000 Lincoln pennies were struck at Denver in 1911, positioning the coin as a semi-key date for collectors. The coin is just not very well struck at all, with most coins displaying weakness or a soft strike in at least some area of the design. On some coins, the mint mark is actually so weakly impressed that I've seen novice collectors mistaking them for Philadelphia issues in worn or lower grades. Further frustrating the advanced collector is the curious fact that most fully struck up coins tend to exhibit brown color discoloration, and fully red coins tend to be weakly struck in turn. Of course, exceptions to this rule do exist. However, rare as they may be, red coins tend to be either very dull and lifeless in color or have a very deep tonal red indeed. The coin is somewhat scarce in most grades, with the very low end of the spectrum typically selling for around $10 or so. Higher circulating grades can see prices of between $60 to $100. Similarly, mint state coins are not plentiful, but they are not exactly scarce either, with an MS63 or 64 coin trading for anywhere between $200 and $400 each. Fully gem red coins of the MS66 and up levels are very scarce though, and finding one with a sharp strike even more so. In 2018, an MS67 red piece from PCGS was sold at auction for $61,687 as the coin with the 6th lowest mintage figure in the entire series. The 1911 Lincoln Penny is without a doubt a key date for the series. San Francisco managed to strike only 4,026,000 pennies in 1911. Now, this is odd since, according to mint records, 110 working dies were prepared and sent to San Francisco. To put this into some perspective, Denver only received 48 working dies for the same year, and somehow the Denver Mint managed to extract nearly 3 times as many coins for circulation from less than half the number of dies. Perhaps this would explain why the Denver pennies for 1911 were so poorly struck overall. The San Francisco coins were of a higher strike quality than their Denver cousins, but generally slightly worse off than the S-Mint marked coins from the preceding years. On most coins, slight weakness is observed on the highest points of the design, and the rim appears to be slightly shallower as well compared to previous years. Now, this might indicate that the striking pressure of the coining presses was adjusted downwards slightly from the previous year, in an apparent attempt to prolong the working lifespan of each working die. The color of the coins in this issue, while mostly uniform, also tends to be slightly more subdued or dull and less brilliant or deep red. The coin was largely pulled from circulation and hoarded by collectors beginning in around the 1930s onwards, ensuring that it is available in virtually all grades today. Lower grade coins are seldomly seen for under $40 each, however, and in the almost uncirculated level, prices of $100 to $150 is not at all unreasonable. Mint state coins too are available with an average MS64 coin fetching around $600 with relative ease. True gem level red coins are genuinely rare though, and are seldomly seen if at all. In 2019, an MS66 red graded example from PCGS was sold at auction for $11,400. Again, the mint continued to issue the matte-proof pennies in 1911, despite the clear dissatisfaction from the collecting community with the finish. Interestingly, the majority of these coins appear to have a slightly coarser, almost granular finish to the fields, more akin to a satin finish than a true matte-proof coin. Studies on die markers have also proven to be inconclusive at best, indicating that multiple dies were used to strike the 1,733 matte-proof 1911 coins, not all of which made their way into the hands of collectors. In 2019, a Proof 66 red matte proof sent from PCGS and certified by CAC as well was sold at auction for $13,200. As far as variety coins go, 1911 was a fairly good year, and with a number of quite attractive repunched mint marks to show for itself. The San Francisco Mint is represented by a repunched mint mark that displays directly towards the west of the final placement. The lower serif, in particular, in addition to the upper curl, should be very nicely doubled towards the left. Even on lower grade coins, this should be nice and clear, making this a very popular variety to search for. In April of 2019, a 1911 S over S variety was sold at auction, housed in a PCGS slab with a grade of MS65 red-brown for $1,320. From there, we head over to the Denver Mint, which has several repunched mint marks of its own to add to the discussion. In this, the first example, the remnant of the D can be spotted in the form of ghosting towards the southwest of the lower horizontal line of the D. This can be a little tricky to detect in later die states or coins in very low grades though. As this is a fairly weak repunched mint mark, it typically sells for only a very small premium over the normal coin. The second type is fortunately far stronger, although the mint mark was only slightly adjusted from the initial punching. Look towards the southeast for an outline of the initial D to the bottom. In some very early die state examples, the same effect is also seen with the top serif of the D. The coin has unfortunately no clear auction record to speak of and is surprisingly scarce and, in my opinion, is a prime candidate to be cherry-picked by an eagle-eyed collector. The next variety was repunched for obvious reasons. The initial D mint mark is clearly rotated counterclockwise from its intended position, with the primary D placed on the correct orientation directly over it. The straight bar of the first punching can still be seen as a thick diagonal line inside the bottom left corner of the cavity of the D. In later die states, this tends to fuse together to form one excessively thick bar with a slight slant. In earlier die states, the top serif will also be notched quite nicely towards the south. Now, the fourth FS504 variety is not only the most common of the varieties, if you can even call it that, it's also the most interesting one, as what we have here is a triple punched mint mark in the form of the 1911 D over D over D coin. The clearest identifier for this variety in any condition is the upper serif of the secondary D, which is now the only remaining vestige of that D mint mark to the south of the final placement. Another D mint mark can also be seen to varying degrees depending on the condition of the coin that you find, towards the southeast of the primary mint mark. The lower rounding of the D should be detectable in this location, although it does fade in lower grades and later die states. In a nice clean coin with a sharp strike, the straight bar of that early D can also be seen inside the cavity of the final D. In 2014, a PCGS graded coin like this with a grade of AU55 was sold in an online auction for $907. If you liked this video, then feel free to take a look at the rest of the videos in the series as well. Subscribe to WNN and activate notifications with the bell icon so you'll know when new videos are released. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a great day.